welcome to a series called The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation, verse by verse, to see what it is we should expect to happen. But more importantly, what it is we should be doing in the end times, because we all have a role. And as we've gone through this book of Revelation, we've come to the place of Christ's return, and we've spent several episodes talking about what he looks like, because every aspect of his appearance is incredibly important of why he is here, which is to judge and make war and to establish his kingdom here on earth, just like it is in heaven, and give this earth 1,000 years of rest. But what we see in that is that he comes to judge and make war, and we talked about the war aspect of this, and we spent a few episodes on that. And then the last episode we talked about the pit, where he puts the devil and the demons. And we're going to spend a little time talking about why the 1,000 years, like what's going on with the 1,000 years today. So we're just going to pick it up where we left off in Revelation 20, starting in verse 1. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal on him, so that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years were finished. But after these things he must be released for a little while. So why the 1,000 years? Because it's not until after the 1,000 years are over that we finally get to the new heaven and the new earth. So why is he going to reign here, literally here on this earth? If you are alive when he has returned, you will just walk this earth and drive your car and do the things you normally do. It'll just be Jesus Christ is in charge. So let's kind of look at why 1,000 years? Why 1,000 years? Well, let's kind of lay a foundation real quick. We'll go back to 20 verse 2. He laid hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. We're going to talk, okay, why? So as we continue to talk about the dragon here in this episode, a lot of people throw in, oh, the dragon's this thing or that thing. No, the dragon is Satan, and it clearly says it there. So he's being thrown into the pit. Now, Isaiah talks about this. We're going to go to Isaiah 24 for a second before we get into the 1,000 years. Isaiah 24:17, fear and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitants of the earth. And it shall be that he who flees from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. And he who comes up from the midst of the pit shall be caught in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundation of the earth are shaken. The earth is violently broken, the earth is split open, the earth is shaken exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall totter like a hut. Its transgression shall be heavy upon it, and it will fall and not rise again. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will punish on high the hosts of exalted ones, and on the earth the kings of the earth. They will be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and will be shut up in the prison. After many days they will be punished. Then the moon will be disgraced, and the sun ashamed, for the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem and before his elders gloriously. So it's not just Satan, it is all of the demons will be locked into this pit. All of them will be locked into this pit. And they're all fearful of this prison. They're all afraid of this prison. They've been scared of it. We talked about that last episode. But we also know that when you're talking about the dragon, his tail is a third of the host, as we saw back in Revelation 12. Verse 3, and another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. So all of the demons are locked into this prison. And it's very important that we kind of understand why. So here they're all being locked into this pit, into the prison, just like Isaiah talked about, just like John just saw. But why the 1,000 years? Why are all these demons being locked up for only 1,000 years? Because 1,000 years go by pretty quick. Well, if you look at the very beginning, if you go back to Genesis, in the very beginning, when God created everything, he spent 6 days creating and he rested on the seventh day. More so, Genesis 3:1, now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. This is the serpent of old. This is the serpent of old. And then there was the fall of man. Man fell in that moment. And then only a few moments later, as we get in Genesis 4, Cain kills Abel. Verse 9, then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I not my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened up its mouth. Receive your brother's blood from your hand. And from the moment that the serpent, the dragon, Satan caused man to fall, the moment that Cain killed Abel, there's not been any time where the earth has rested or that there's not been blood spilt on the earth. It just continues and continues and continues because of the dragon and his tail, a third of the angels. If we go to Leviticus 25:4, but in the seventh year there shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, a Sabbath to the Lord. You shall neither sow your field nor prune your vineyard. And this has never happened. This is why Israel was cast out of Israel, because they refused to rest the land. This earth, from the moment that that serpent caused the fall of mankind, and the blood of man was spilt on this earth for the first time, there has never been a year of rest on this earth, but God is going to get his rest. So why 1,000 years? Well, let's just go back all the way to Adam. All the way back to Adam. And if you follow the timeline of the Bible, between Adam and Noah was 1,000 years. Between Noah and Abraham was 1,000 years. Between Abraham and David was 1,000 years. Between David and Jesus was 1,000 years. And it's been around 2,000 years since then. That's 6,000 years since the fall of mankind. So why 1,000 years? God said, you will rest this land. Every 6 year, after the 6th year, you rest it on the 7th. And we have never done that. We've never done it. So God's going to rest the land. He's going to rest his creation just like he told us he would do in the very beginning. He's going to rest it for 1,000 years. And the only way that it's going to happen, because we're not going to do it, is for him to establish his kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven and let the land rest for 1,000 years. Then we can move on past this earth. Then we can go past everything that's been created in this earth. Because from the very beginning, that's always how it was meant to be. Always how it was meant to be. There was never meant to be sin or death in this world. But because sin and death entered the world, God said, rest the land every Sabbath year. How many times have we done that? 0. So God's going to rest it for 1,000 years. So now, if we go back to Revelation 20. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having a key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. It's the only way. They have to be gone. If those demons are on this earth, there's not going to be rest. They caused this all. We're all victims to this. They caused it all. So if they're gone, the earth will rest. When we are aligned with Jesus Christ like we have always meant to be, and it's just we're aligned with him and our heart is aligned with his heart, and there's no demons distracting us to sin and death, of course it's going to be rest. Of course it's going to be rest. And he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal on him so that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. But after these things he must be released for a little while. Because there's still the new heaven and the new earth to come. And he plays a role in that too, unfortunately. So there you go. I hope this helps on why 1,000 years. God said we're going to rest this earth, once every Sabbath here, and He's getting it. If He says I'm going to rest it this many years, He's going to do it. It's been 6,000 years. He's going to get His 1,000 years of rest. Any thoughts or insight on any of that? Definitely put it below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. That link is also below. The most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.